Zelete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Wonders they say shall never cease to happen. Right now, the African Union is playing a very dangerous game of double standards, and we need to talk about it immediately. In July 2026, the newly elected chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, arrived in Bamako, Mali, on a high-profile official visit. He met with Mali's leader all-in-all, General Assimi Goïta. They sat behind closed doors for an hour, and when Yusuf walked out, he stood in front of the microphones and spoke directly to the public. He was polite, he was smooth, and he used very careful diplomatic language. He praised all-in-all Goïta. He said he learned a lot from him and claimed the African Union is standing side by side with Mali to help it fight TT. But then came the main message. Yusuf declared that Mali must return to constitutional order and hold democratic elections. He argued that the African Union's decision to suspend Mali from the club was not done to isolate the country, but to simply uphold the rules of the organization. But here is the massive lie at the heart of that statement. While the African Union Commission is quick to lecture Mali about democracy, it stays completely silent when long-standing presidents across the continent destroy their own countries' constitutions to rule for life. Why does the African Union suspend a soldier in Bamako within 48 hours, but look the other way when presidents in Kigali do the exact same thing? Why are gangs called coup, while the sneaky rewrite of a constitution with a pen is called democracy? The answer is simple. This was never about protecting the rights of regular African citizens. It is about protecting an elite club of rulers. And today, we are going to expose exactly how this system is rigged.
Hello, I would like to thank His Excellency General of the Army Assimi Goïta, President of the Transition in the Republic of Mali, for the warm welcome. I also want to say that the quality of our exchanges really impressed me a lot. I was expecting a visit, a meeting of a few minutes, 10 minutes at most. We stayed for an hour. I learned a lot from the President of the Transition. As President of the Commission, I first came to express our solidarity with the Republic of Mali. I am not telling you anything new about these terrorist attacks that have killed many Malians, which cost the life of General Sadio Camara, have been a shock for the continent. I believe that Mali has suffered human losses, has suffered destructions, which I would say have not been repeated on the continent. And that is, it's dramatic and disastrous. And I believe that today our presence in Bamako is primarily to express this solidarity and to say that we condemn with the greatest firmness this terrorism which is multifaceted. Media terrorism, military terrorism, political terrorism, economic terrorism. And I believe that if Mali today is facing this threat, it is doing so on behalf of Africa. And I believe that in this, we can only show our solidarity, the solidarity of the African Union. These terrorist groups are attacking the foundation of the Malian state, its institutions, and its unity.
And they kill civilians. Indeed, they burn, they destroy people's properties, and they mainly strive to create anarchy and confusion. I first salute the bravery of the Malian armed forces and the resilience of the Malian populations. I also take this opportunity to tell you that the African Union Commission, which I have the honor to lead, or isn't it that I have the honor to lead, would like to engage in this dialogue with the Malian government to know to what extent the Commission can be of any use in this process, which is primarily that of the Malian authorities, the Malian people, to restore peace and stability, and a process that normally will certainly have a political horizon.
And this political horizon will certainly manifest through election. I believe that the previous steps have already been taken. The charter, the constitution that has been made, I believe that is the message from Africa. Africa would like to see a stable Mali, a Mali that I would say has perfect relations with its neighboring countries, a Mali where constitutional order is restored. I believe that the suspension of Mali from African political institutions is not a desire to isolate Mali. It is mainly a way to reaffirm the rules and procedures that are ours, but also to tell Mali, we are beside you to be able to move forward in this political process that is led by Malians for Malians and for the future of Mali, of Mali. The African Union is working through the MISL, which is represented today and led by Ambassador Minister Tangara, who is an experienced diplomat, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, and who is close to the AS countries and close to the authorities of these three countries. He is trying to do useful work so that the role of the African Union in this part of the continent is a positive one and also accepted by the authorities and the peoples of those countries, because we cannot make people happy against their will. It is up to the Malians to take their destiny into their own hands for the transitional authorities to do the work. And we, as myself, as the African Union Commission, are here to support this process. Finally, I would especially like to emphasize that terrorism is like a flash fire. If we do not contain it, do not circumscribe it very quickly, it can very quickly spread to neighboring countries. And we see it now. Ghana is threatened, Togo is threatened, Benin is threatened. I believe that this phenomenon must be fought on a continental scale. I can say today that Mali is not alone in this endeavor. We are all here, the Commission, the member states, to help Mali overcome its difficulties, especially in this extremely difficult period.
To understand why this system is so broken, we have to look back at the rules the African Union uses to justify its actions. In July of the year 2000, heads of states from across Africa gathered in a conference hall in Lomé, Togo. They were terrified of military coups. For decades, soldiers with guns had been taking over government, and the politicians in power wanted to make sure they could protect their own seats. So, they wrote a document called the Lomé Declaration. This document set up a very simple, straight rule. If any group takes over a country by force or through unconstitutional means, the African Union will refuse to recognize them. The country will be suspended from the organization, face heavy economic punishment called sanctions, and be completely isolated from the regional community until they hold elections and hand power back to civilians. On paper, this sounds like a great rule to protect peace and law. But the politicians who wrote this document left a massive, gaping loophole. They specifically designed the rule to target soldiers with guns. They wrote absolutely nothing to stop a sitting president from using the legal system, the police, and a corrupt parliament to bend, twist, or completely rewrite the constitution to stay in power forever. When a soldier takes over, it is loud, there are tanks on the streets, and it happens on live television. The African Union can easily point to it and call it a coup. But when a president uses a pen to erase term limits, they call it legal reform. They call it sovereignty. They call it the will of the people. This is what policy experts call a constitutional coup. Look at Rwanda's president, Paul Kagame. He has been the undisputed ruler of Rwanda since the year 2000. Under the country's original constitution, a president was allowed to serve for only 2 terms. By 2015, Kagame's time was up. He was legally required to step down. Instead of leaving, his government organized a referendum to change the constitution, erasing the term limits. He went on to win the next election with 98.8% of the vote. Because of those changed rules, Kagame is now eligible to remain president until 2030. Opponents have been arrested, put in prison, or forced to flee. What did the African Union say? Absolutely nothing. Look at Cameroon, what is happening. An 8th president, Paul Biya. He is 92 years old and has been president since 1982, longer than the vast majority of Cameroonians' population has been alive. In 2008, Paul Biya used his control over the parliament to remove term limits entirely. The African Union's response? Total, deafening silence. Look at Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara. In 2020, the exact same year Mali was suspended, Ouattara's 2-term limit was up. His team argued that because Ivory Coast had adopted a new constitution in 2016, the entire presidential term clock had been reset to 0. The people of Ivory Coast were outraged. Deadly protests broke out, but Ouattara took a 3rd term anyway. The African Union did not say a single word. This is the real crime. When military leaders in Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger took power, they did not just change the face in the presidential palace. They ordered French military forces to pack up and leave. They challenged the unfair economic systems that kept their nations poor. They demanded true sovereignty. This is why the African Union rushed to suspend Mali. It was never about protecting the democratic rights of regular citizens. It was about protecting the established post-colonial system. True independence and true democracy cannot be built on a foundation of double standards. Until the African Union stops protecting its friends, its lectures on constitutional order will remain completely meaningless. The president of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, told us in Davos that they have failed as the people. Why? Because they protect borders. So those democratic elected are protecting borders, according to Julius Maada Bio, the president of Sierra Leone and the chairperson of ECOWAS. They protect borders instead of protecting us, the people. But the people they call cool leaders are protecting the people instead of protecting the borders. And if African Union Commission president should come and talk about democracy, what do we need democracy for? Does democracy give us control over our resources? Does democracy change the economic situation of Africa? For how long haven't we elected leaders? What have we achieved at the end of the day? No wonder Captain Ibrahim Traoré said, even the scripts they read to us, they write for them. Our leaders can never give us anything apart from democracy. But the youth of today are telling these same people that we have had enough of their democratic whatever. They are the only ones that can set us first. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Mali.